Okay, step one in making the flywheel modifications on a Colorado flywheel for a 10.5-inch Mustang disc, 26 spline for the Trailblazer engine, right there. So, getting the bolt circle, doing some mathematics, kind of like what I did on the redrilling brake rotors. Just figure out the distance here. The 3 3/8 is what I believe the bolt circle is, minus this divided by 2, and you get that point. And then you just do your scratch lines from these two reference points here, and you find triangulates in the middle. Anyway, let me flip this thing over. So, a little strange news here. I thought this was a Colorado disc, but it seems to be 10.5 inches. I was thinking maybe the pressure plate would bolt onto this piece of cake. We have all this inner space here. I could put a larger disc on the inside, but no, it turns out this is off of like a, I guess a Hummer, an H3. And so I was like, oh cool, the Hummer, their flywheels come straight out to here, but I think they get a lot smaller on this inner diameter, so it's a trade-off. So I think what I'm gonna do is run with this. I'll be able to use a Mustang disc because it's 10.5 inches. This is actually 10.5 inches. And let's get that to sit on here in some way. And so this thing is gonna be, the bolt circle will be right on the edge here. So I'm gonna do that trick where you put an end mill and just drill straight into it. And then I'll maybe put a stud up in here and then drop the pressure plate onto this. And presto, got a good size clutch on this, 10.5 inches. I think it'll be fine for at least what I'm going to do with that motor off the beginning. It might have a supercharger on it, or it's probably just going to be naturally aspirated. Okay, so I just knocked those pins out. And so sure, you're going to have a little bit of the material here, but remember you have the entire backside of the pressure plate for friction. So I don't think these little counterweight holes are going to be any big deal at all. Here's the pressure plate for a 10.5 inch, the Hummer disc that's on there. This should be similar to what's coming in the mail next week with the Mustang. See, I think these just barely reach on the edge here, so I think if you just hit these with an end mill and throw a stud in here, maybe even put a little spacer on it, whatever, you've got the material for it. It should fit. And here it is with the, what I believe to be, I thought was a Colorado bell housing. It's an Atlas. It could be the Hummer design as well, but there seems to be good clearance in here. Probably almost an inch. So it all fits. Okay, well, there's the easy part of it. So I've got the outer circle of holes drilled that will, so the single bolt on the crank. Now I've got to figure out a way to bolt this thing into my lathe at work. I only have a tiny one here that's not going to cut it. So I think what I have to do is make something that the jaws could grab onto and this could bolt onto that. So I've got these aluminum discs. Let me see if I can find one. Okay, so I think the next step is to make something that you can mount into the lathe. So I've got to do the bolt circle again on one of these things and true it and maybe put at least 4 bolts in here. I don't think 2 will be strong enough. Maybe 2 will be okay. And bolt this thing to it. And I've got to spin this thing out and open this up probably to the inner part of this line of here is what the diameter of the back of the crankshaft is. And I can use the new bolt pattern. All right, so I just ran a little cleanup pass on this thing to true it in the chucks. And again, I'm going to use the larger lathe at work. I think it'll be able to spin this thing, clear the table. So yeah, it's going to be the 3 3/8 bolt. So I'm going to spin that, find that center, and then I'll be able to probably just do 4. It should be easy, 90 degrees across. Shouldn't be crazy calculations. All right, I just spun my center on there. That's my reference point. I can take this off and drill and thread 4 holes, and this will be the mount for it, so it'll go into the flywheel. And next week, hopefully I have some time and make a little video of that thing spinning on the other lathe, the other crappy lathe I've got. Anyway, thank you for watching.